Toilet Tales. Mother and I, an innocent preschooler, stood in a stall in the women's restroom of a local restaurant. She looked at me and said very seriously, "Now here's what you do before you sit on the toilet in any bathroom but ours at home." Fascinated by this weird location, I watched her tear 3 or 4 squares of toilet tissue from the roll and lay them on one side of the seat. She tore off another strip of the same length and placed it on the other side of the seat. "Okay, go ahead, sit on the toilet. Be careful not to push the paper into the water." I did as she directed and smiled with pride that I had kept the tissue under my tush. And so it was in an era long before the invention of flushable toilet seat covers that I learned never to allow my unsullied bottom to go where impure bottoms had gone before. I hold that lesson so well taught by my mother, responsible for my preoccupation with toilets, toilet paper, and in some cases, bathrooms in general. First, let me address bladder self-restraint. Mother had a fit about my spending an entire day of classes plus after-school band rehearsal without relieving myself, and told me, without going into detail, that urine retention wasn't good for me. Even if she had told me it could cause my bladder to drop, I doubt I would have heeded her warning or changed my routine. In college, for some unknown reason, I mentioned my high school urine holding ability to my house mother. She was appalled and gave me a specific caution. If you get into an automobile accident with a full bladder, it'll burst and you'll die. I had no fear of a horrendous death by bladder explosion, but never reverted to my high school restroom behavior, even though until my senior year I shared one bathroom and its single commode with 15 other girls in my dorm. Toilet paper roll readiness. At the school where I taught, restroom conditions got to the point where I considered requesting compensation for custodial work. I knew for a fact that most of the female teachers were not too busy to do the deed. After all, they were just sitting there, and putting on a new roll doesn't take long. I figured a lot of them thought the task was beneath them, no pun intended. Then one day I had an epiphany. It wasn't that these educated women chose not to do it, but rather they hadn't a clue how to do it. Not wanting this teachable moment to pass, I created a memo addressed to female faculty persons and attached it above the dispenser in the single stall the school had for, I'd say somewhere around 30 female faculty persons. I was pleased with my how to replace the toilet paper roll memo, but must admit, pleasure turned to pride the moment the art instructor complimented my freehand illustrations for perspective. Toilet paper roll feed. No matter where I am, when a roll is feeding incorrectly, just for kicks I change the feed. My preference is over the top. One time years ago I took an informal survey among faculty colleagues. The majority agreed with me and I felt better about myself. More recently, I brought the topic up at a choir rehearsal. All but one couple agreed with the results of my earlier survey. Since that evening, I view those two with suspicion. Of course, all things regarding toilet paper seem minor when the female restroom has a ceiling leak above the commode. True, we had damp heads only on days when it rained, but really, shouldn't the administration have had that leak fixed as soon as it was brought to their attention? As annoying as it was, the situation provided a subject for more bathroom artwork. After I taped this creation to the restroom door, it brought a positive reaction from fellow teachers. When the administration saw it, they remained silent. At some point thereafter, the leak disappeared. I choose to believe my sketch had something to do with its repair. By far the worst faculty room trouble was its inoperable exhaust fan. A single exhaust fan, when it worked, accommodated both the women's and men's restrooms. The term accommodated might be overstating its performance. I complained more than once to our male principal about the restroom's unsavory odor, but he did not respond. Finally, I put my complaint into writing and sent it to the superintendent, also a male. He was not pleased with my communique and requested a meeting with me and the principal. At our get-together a few days later, the superintendent looked me in the eye and began with these words, Don't ever write anything like that to me again. Then he reprimanded me for not going to my principal because, I quote, principals take care of things like that, unquote. I told him I had informed the principal, but alas, the fan still worketh not. At the end of our meeting, I had no idea if it had accomplished anything, but my hopes were twofold: that an electrician would repair the exhaust fan and that the superintendent would not place a letter of reprimand in my permanent file, not necessarily in that order. By the following Monday, all was fine. The adjoined restrooms had a working exhaust fan, and my permanent file included no letter of reprimand. Now retired from teaching, I don't concern myself with faculty bathroom ceiling leaks and non-working exhaust fans. But because so many other venues continue to have empty toilet paper roll issues, I can't see myself ever giving up replacement duty. To me, that job is not only joy, but also a power play. Why a power play, you ask? Simple answer: she who installs the new roll determines its feed.